What's going on, guys? Winnie the Pooh, Demon Hunter, Volume 3. We have Pooh fighting Rabbit on this one, and yes, that is going to be something that happens. So let's just do a quick catch-up. So in Volume 2, we had Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh both being tried and punished for what they did in Volume 1, which was tear up Humpty Dumpty's town. Now, this all sounds silly, but we're just going to keep on moving on. And then we get a little bit of backstory as to how Pooh and Christopher Robin both ended up in the Red Riding Demon Hunter group. And we saw that Christopher Robin lost his parents to a cult of demon worshipping, like, crazy people who sacrificed their entire town. And the only reason why Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh were not sacrificed as part of this is because his dad took him to the outskirts of town before trying to go find more survivors and got killed as a result. And then the demon hunters found Robin and Pooh and decided to go ahead and bring them in and get them trained. We also saw that Snow White's castle got infiltrated by the big bad wolves. And they were completely caught off guard and almost got to Snow White herself, and this was more or less a message being sent as well, because after Winnie the Pooh stops the one that was coming after Queen Snow White, they find like a calling card, and it was the Queen of Hearts, so they know that the Queen has declared war upon them, and so now that's two factions who have declared war. We have Mother Goose and the Queen of Hearts. And so basically that is where we're going to be picking up now. Because after Snow White sees this, she's like, well, I guess we have no choice. We need all hands on deck. Go ahead and call in all of our agents who are out and about and bring them in. We need to start coming up with a war tactic here. And so we're going to get right on into it. Art and story both by Nicholas Mueller, as we'll see right here. And so we have each volume's broken up into different chapters. So we're on chapter 6, A Little Disagreement. And that is referring to Rabbit and Winnie the Pooh here. So our story opens up and we have a little memory here because we have Piglet. As we know, Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin, that's what sent them on this crazy journey, is they're looking for their friend Piglet. And they're hunting down a creature called a Heffalump. And so we see Pooh and Piglet trying to track this thing down. Unfortunately, Pooh trips one of their own traps and gets caught up and gets his head stuck into one of the bait jars of honey that they had out. And so Piglet runs off, gets Christopher Robin, and then the memory fades away as present day Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin come into more focus, and Christopher just tells Pooh, hey, look, we're going to go find our friend, but first we need to take care of this because war is coming to the 100 Acre Woods. And we see Queen Snow White. She's meeting with like her little brain trust over here, a bunch of different council members, different positions, whatnot, and just trying to gather what happened, what's going on out there, and this, that, and the other. So they seem to have shored up and made sure that there are no more wolves being hidden within the castle walls. And that, yeah, it does definitely look like Wonderland is behind the attack, that this isn't some sort of false flag here. So they're like, okay, well, we have contacts we've lost a couple months ago, and yeah, it definitely looks like there's more activity going on in Wonderland, and then they seem to be gearing up for some sort of war, so yeah, we should do the same. And we see messages reaching other hunters. These are like S-rank hunters, so there's only 2 that we're going to know the names of right off the bat. So this is Alex up here, and we're going to learn more about Alex later on. And this is Willie, and I think that this is Steamboat Willie, and I'll go more into detail on this. It looks like he's wearing a mask, but he seems to have more mouse-like ears, and we see like a gloved hand. Now, he's all cloaked, but I do believe that that is Steamboat Willie. And, of course, he became an IP that anybody can use as well. So then they're trying to figure out, okay, how did we get so far caught off guard? And they're like, we're not sure, but what we are doing is doubling our security. We're making sure everybody's on high alert. We're securing our castle walls better and training up everybody to be more on guard so we don't get caught off guard like that again. So then we cut back over and we see this temple that's with like monk turtles here, and Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin. That is where they were sent to bring in another one of the hunters, and this hunter being Rabbit. Now we cut over and we see Owl trying to talk to the captain over here, and said a huge error was made that unfortunately, because of all the craziness going on, they accidentally sent Pooh and Christopher Robin to go retrieve Rabbit. And we see why that was a mistake, because Rabbit is not exactly fond of Pooh right now. And he's just throwing Winnie the Pooh right through like walls and stuff like that. And Pooh's just like, look, you're being called in. It's time for you to come in and join the rest of us. And Rabbit's like, make me. Cut back over to the captain. She's like, well, they're just going to have to get their shit sorted out. And then proceeds to talk with everybody about what's going to happen once all these hunters start making their way in. So she was just like, yep, okay, whatever. We got other things to worry about than the feud between Rabbit and Pooh. So speaking of, we go back over to them, and yeah, the fight is continuing. Winnie the Pooh, he's just trying to speak reason to Rabbit, but Rabbit will not listen to him. He is pissed beyond all reason with Pooh. And so an ass whooping continues. Like, Pooh does try to fight back, but Rabbit is just very quick and counters him every step of the way. And Pooh's like, why won't you just listen? Why do you have to be so stubborn? And he's like, I don't give a fuck what you have to say. I want you out of here. You're not welcome. He's like, well, they need you back. Rabbit says, well, then they should have sent somebody else. As he continues to counter all of anything Pooh tries to throw at him. And so then Christopher Robin, he intervenes. He's like, hey, can we just cool it for a quick second? And so Rabbit does not have the same kind of hatred for Christopher as he does with Pooh. So he's willing to listen, and he's like, look, I get that you got your issues. However, Wonderland is ready to attack and is going to destroy everything. And that's all Rabbit really needs to hear goes, okay, you know what? I'm going to go get my shit. I'll, we can all leave. And Pooh's like, why the hell is that so damn hard? Now, one of the turtle monks, he comes over, and Rabbit apologizes for all the chaos and destruction. And the monk's, he's pretty cool about it. He's like, look, man, we all got our demons we got to sort out, so it is what it is. And he doesn't really hold any grudges towards Rabbit here. And he says, we're also going to send a warrior to help you in your time of need. And so there's this masked turtle figure, and I cannot help but draw a distinction with the Ninja Turtles. I can't help it. It's a turtle guy. He's wearing blue. I just immediately think a Ninja Turtle. I mean, it could have a lot to do with my absolute love of them, but yeah. I don't think that's what we're doing, but who knows? Maybe we're giving like a little nod and a wink over there. I don't know, but the group accepts this warrior's help and thanks him, and then they're like, okay, let's go on our way. Meanwhile, we have one of the members over here. He comes over and tells their captain that they know where Wonderland's planning on striking first, and it's going to be Humpty's town. And so they're like, okay, well, we know where they're going to strike. The question is when, as we flash over to the Queen of Hearts, who is torturing somebody over here. And so then this starts chapter 7, An Invitation to Madness. Now, I got to say right off the bat, this is probably the one chapter that I was the most confused by as far as what are we doing here. So I'm just going to try to do my best to piece it together. Maybe it's just a simple misunderstanding on my end, but we're going to continue on. So the Queen of Hearts is torturing this individual who I think I might know who it is, but I'm not 100% certain. I think this might be Queen Snow White's husband, the king. Not 100% certain on it, but she does seem to want to keep this person alive at the moment rather than just take off the head. So also looks to be trying to get some information out of him. She's also consulting with the magic mirror, and the mirror's like, what do you desire? She said, for everybody to love me. And that's when one of her guardsmen comes in and says, hey, the package that you're looking for was not in the castle like we thought, but we have found that it is perhaps located in Humpty Dumpty's city. And so that's what's making that first strike happen there, is they're looking for some sort of package. Now the Cheshire Cat comes in, and he speaks he speaks in riddles, of course. He says, have you found it yet, my queen? And she replies, is that really a question? She said, many look but never find, and so go mad along the way. Then maybe I should ask again. So I'm not entirely certain what's being spoken about, and I think that we're supposed to be in the dark on that. But then the Pied Piper comes in and says, just speak the word and I'll have your army going. And she said, the word has not yet been discovered. And says, do you know the way? And this is why I'm like a little confused. I don't quite understand what we're talking about. And I do wonder, so the title of this one is called Invitation into Madness. And I think that we're supposed to interpret that she's, like, this might partially be in her head. Like, none of it really makes sense. And I know Wonderland can be a little crazy at times, so perhaps that's what we're going for here. But yeah, she consults with the mirror again and says to show her what she wants most of all. And we see Snow White pop up in the mirror. And I'm assuming that she wants Snow White's kingdom, not so much Snow White herself. And so then she says to send word to the troops to get ready for the invasion. And then goes and addresses them herself. And basically just tells them to show no mercy. We then cut over to Snow White, who looks to be doing a little bit of sword training, getting ready to have to battle herself. And then wonders about where her king might be. And so we get a little glimpse of him there, and it looks like we could have some reason to believe that might be him there. It's really vague. But I could understand why maybe keeping, if he was to be captured, why keeping him alive would be useful to the Queen of Hearts. So that's just my speculation. I have no idea. Then Captain informs the Queen that some of the riders are starting to come in. So then as we see some of them come in, one of them is addressed as Willie, and that's right here. And now he says, it's been a while since I've been on land. So I'm kind of like, okay, Steamboat Willie, he's on his steamboat. I think that's what we're going with here. So those are just some of the clues that made me think that's what we got. And he's just simply wearing a mask here. And then Evelyn checks him in and tells him, check in with his captain and moving on. And then Eeyore, he's like, it's curious why we haven't seen her yet. And Evelyn's like, who do you mean? He's like, the only person that would push you super duper hard. I thought she would have been here by now. And immediately Evelyn knows who this is. She's like, "Oh God, you mean Alex?" And then we get a little bit of backstory as to who Alex is, and it's basically Evelyn's rival. It is somebody who has always been able to one up Evelyn to Evelyn's absolute frustration. But it did push Evelyn to be better, but she never could get to Alex's level. They seem to have a somewhat friendly rivalry. Like, they haven't come to physical blows or anything like that, but there is some verbal jabs being given. But yeah, we get a little montage of things, how Alex was just so much better. And wouldn't you know it, Alex shows up, sneaks up behind Evelyn and does the guess who? And yep, there's Alex. And speaking of verbal jabs, Evelyn gives her a big old hug and is like, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't made it to S rank yet." For which Evelyn's like, "I have made it. I have my own little squad that I look after over here." And it's not out and about like Alex is. So there was like a little bit of a jab there from Alex. But then the whole kumbaya here with Evelyn goes away, and Alex immediately starts putting her squad to work. And that's when the captain shows up and lets everybody know everything about the plan of attack from Wonderland on Humpty Dumpty City and how to go about it. We then cut back over with Rabbit and Pooh and Christopher Robin and our little turtle friend over here. And they're taking a break because Pooh got hungry, and this frustrates Rabbit further. It's like, "Look, seriously, it's an emergency. Why are we stopping at all? We're probably missing the briefing part right now as we speak," which of course they are, because we just saw that. And so he's getting frustrated, and that's when the turtle's like, "If you don't mind me asking, why do you have such an issue with Pooh over there?" And he starts to talk about how Pooh knew not to touch that garden. And the turtle's like, "This is all this hatred over a garden?" And Christopher Robin's like, "It's not that simple." And that's when Rabbit snaps. He's like, you knew better than to do that. That's all I had left of him." And Winnie tries to apologize for it. And Christopher Robin just tells Rabbit to let it all out. And that's when we get Chapter 8, The Garden. And so we're getting some backstory on Rabbit here. And you can kind of already guess where this is going to go. So, we're in a flashback. There's Piglet, Pooh, Christopher Robin. They're at Rabbit's house, all enjoying good times, good meal, family gathering time. We see Rabbit spending time with his family, teaching them all how to plant a garden, what kind of patience they need to have, and put in all the hard work, and how to manage all of this. And you can already gather where this is going to go. Everything's going great, big happy family life, until one morning Rabbit goes out. He makes his he's going to set out and check for demons coming around the area. He's checking all the traps. Everything looks good. Nothing popping up there. But then there's smoke coming from his house, and he runs out there, and he goes and he finds his family has been slain. And I do like this shot. So we're seeing it through the clothesline. You got the family down there, and you could just see the side of one of the demons standing right on top of the family. And he sees his dead family, sees the demon with blood coming, dripping out of his mouth, and like little chunks in his hands, all bloody. It's a pretty good job illustrating just how haunting this is, and of course, emphasized more with the the rain and the lightning strikes and all that. It's a pretty good job. I like it. And so, naturally, Rabbit just loses his shit. He goes over, he kills all these demons, and there's a whole bunch of them. They must have been waiting for Rabbit to clear out, and all the while he's getting like flashes of his family and how it's all broken now. And I feel really bad for Rabbit here, and he annihilates all of these demons. And then he's just left to mourn the loss of his family as he embraces them, buries them, and then presumably more time has gone on because it looks like all of the plants have now come in. And we see Rabbit. He's still there, but he looks just battered and beaten as he lays in bed. And meanwhile, we have Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh. They're making their way over, talking about how they're giving their condolences. But Pooh also makes mention that he's quite hungry. And he says he doesn't think Rabbit would mind having a carrot. But Pooh goes way overboard. He basically, as we'll see here in a moment, he wipes out the entire garden. Now, I got big issues with that. They're coming over to give condolences. I don't think it's really in Winnie the Pooh's character to completely wipe out somebody from all of their food, especially a friend who just lost their entire family. But even if that wasn't the case, Rabbit has a family. Why would Pooh just completely wipe out all their food? I don't think that he would be that selfish. Like, he'll eat, but I don't think he'll just do it and not think of others as well. So I feel like that's a bit out of character, and I feel that this could have been done a little bit differently. But I'll touch on that here in a little bit. Yeah, Rabbit opens the door, sees that his garden's been completely wiped out, and then has flashes of his family, loses his shit, and starts whipping Winnie the Pooh's ass. And I mean, he's like in the same kind of mode that he was with the demons, and so Christopher Robin, gets him to kind of recollect himself. Rabbit pushes Chris off and sees the empty garden again, and then runs away. And he runs to that temple that we found him at, and just tells the turtle monks there, "Hey, I need help." And so we cut to present day, and Winnie the Pooh, he's still trying to apologize, but Rabbit doesn't really acknowledge any of this. But then suddenly he gets up and starts running, and he's like, "Can't you guys hear the screaming?" And then they see that, in fact, the invasion has begun. And that is where the story ends. Okay, so coming back to my big issue here. What I would have kind of done where we could still have the same kind of payoff is Rabbit is emotionally conflicted right now, right? He's in a bad way, and I think anybody who lost their entire family would be feeling the same way. I think we could have still had the same payoff where Rabbit flips his shit without Pooh completely decimating the entire garden. Maybe just a handful of things, and that still is like kind of sacred ground to Rabbit, and he still doesn't have it. And that way it doesn't make Winnie the Pooh look like an absolute asshole, because right now I think the ass beating that he caught is pretty warranted, because I'm like, that's a real dick move. Like, he's got nothing now. And let's say that the family was still alive. You just wiped out an entire family's food source. For what? Because you got a little rumbly in your tumbly? No, I don't think so. So I think we could have just maybe not had so much food being taken. Just the simple fact that any food was taken, and that was like the last activity that Rabbit got to experience with his family, still trips him up. So I would have adjusted that a little bit there. I think that would still be something that we could gather he would still go through, right? Still having those flashbacks, and again, looking at his garden as more sacred ground, and Pooh not really understanding all of that. But having him just wipe out everything, Pooh should know better than that. I don't think he would have done that. But yeah, not too much in the way of issues that I have. That was like the biggest one. And the whole Queen of Hearts bit, I don't fully understand, but I think that we're not meant to fully understand that. And so I'm not going to count that really as a flaw as of right now. I think we're meant to be somewhat confused by that one. But still, strong series. I'm still very much invested in what's going on. I want to see what happens in the next issue. So yeah, I'll be doing volume 4 here soon enough. And again, we're introducing characters little by little, right? So now we've met Alex, we've met Rabbit, and we've at least briefly been introduced to Willie, who I still think is Steamboat Willie. And I'm very much enjoying like how we're just slowly expanding the world and stuff like that. And I'm kind of curious as to what Oz has got going on now. It's been very quiet over there. I want to know. So we saw the Pied Piper. Now, when we first met the Pied Piper, he was just a background character for Mother Goose. So now I'm like, okay, is Mother Goose and the Queen of Hearts teaming up? Is he being like a double agent? What's going on there? I am interested. And where do these like demon worshipping cult people, where do they kind of fit in with everything? So lots of questions that I'm definitely wanting answers to, and I think that's a good sign for what we got as far as writing. I'm curious. I want to know more, and I'm paying attention to what we got going on here. So yeah, definitely a recommend. I'd give this one probably 7 to 8 out of 10, somewhere in that area. Like I said, that issue with Winnie the Pooh, I felt was a bit out of character there. But overall, everybody else I felt was pretty good in character. And if this sounds like something that would interest you, check the link in the description where you can get a copy for yourself, or at least 2 to follow for any second chance campaigns that may arise. But that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.